I will omit lines from the Art of War from this chapter on. My goal with this series is to trim the fat and give the viewer only relevant information. Feel free to read this chapter to gain its wisdom, but it basically boils down to be frugal, think critically, and be mindful of your troops. When you engage in actual fighting, if victory is long in coming, then men's weapons will grow dull and their ardor will be damped. If you lay siege to a town, you will exhaust your strength. Stamina is a thing to be considered. This game is difficult. The longer a game drags on, the more mistakes can be made. The person who makes fewer mistakes will likely win. Again, if the campaign is protracted, the resources of the state will not be equal to the strain. If a player overextends, it will not be a favorable trade. Now, when your weapons are dulled, your ardor damped, your strength exhausted, and your treasure spent, other chieftains will spring up to take advantage of your extremity. Then no man, however wise, will be able to avert the consequences that must ensue. Once a player has depleted their stamina, bank, and units, it's GG. Thus, though we have heard of stupid haste in war, cleverness has never been associated with long delays. Don't be too hasty. Also, don't take too long. There is no instance of a country having benefited from prolonged warfare. In war, then, let your great objective be victory, not lengthy campaigns. Play to win. Someone said, "You are not playing to win, you are playing to not lose," and that distinction has always stuck out in my mind. A dangerous way to interpret this is don't play macro games. This is not the case. Hence, to fight and conquer in all your battles is not supreme excellence. Supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. Supreme excellence is not a 100% win rate. Supreme excellence is using your brain. Thus, the highest form of generalship is to balk the enemy's plans. The next best is to prevent the junction of the enemy's forces. The next in order is to attack the enemy's army in the field, and the worst policy of all is to besiege walled cities. The player's best move is to stop the enemy plan. Next is to prevent reinforcement. After that is a full engagement, and the worst is to ignore map conditions in a fight. The general, unable to control his irritation, will launch his men to the assault like swarming ants, with the result that 1/3 of his men are slain, while the town still remains untaken. Such are the disastrous effects of a siege. Patience is a virtue. Breaking through a defensive position can take some time. Wait for your tools to crack the defense, or suffer the consequences. Therefore, the skillful leader subdues the enemy's troops without any fighting. He captures their cities without laying siege to them. He overthrows their kingdom without lengthy operations in the field. There are options to deal damage other than a frontal push, and there are different ways of dealing damage. With his forces intact, he will dispute the mastery of the empire, and thus, without losing a man, his triumph will be complete. This is the method of attacking by stratagem. The commentary from the book says, owing to the double meanings of the wording, the latter part of the sentence is susceptible of quite a different meaning. And thus, the weapon not being blunted by use, its keenness remains perfect. A unit saved now is an asset later. It is the rule in war. If our forces are 10 to the enemy's 1, to surround him. If 5 to 1, to attack him. If twice as numerous, to divide our army into 2. If equally matched, we can offer battle. If slightly inferior in numbers, we can avoid the enemy. If quite unequal in every way, we can flee from him. Hence, though it is an obstinate fight may be made by a small force, in the end it must be captured by the larger force. Your opponent must devote more resources to clean up a small attacking force. Resources including APM. There are 3 ways in which a ruler can bring misfortune upon his army. There are 3 ways a player can bring ruin to their army, 2 of which deal with the mental state of the soldiers. By commanding the army to advance or to retreat, being ignorant of the fact that it cannot obey. This is called hobbling the army. There is an opposite issue for us, the player. An order is absolute. Using move command as opposed to attack move is an example. Bad pathing and rally also fits here. Thus, we may know that there are 5 essentials for victory. There are 4 essentials to victory. He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. You gotta know when to hold 'em. Know when to fold 'em. Know when to walk away. Know when to run. He will win who knows how to handle both superior and inferior forces. The victor knows how to handle both superior and inferior forces. He will win whose army is animated by the same spirit throughout all its ranks. He will win who, prepared himself, waits to take the enemy unprepared. The victor will be prepared, and wait to take the enemy unprepared. He will win who has military capacity and is not interfered with by the sovereign. The victor will be decisive. Hence the saying, if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. It is known, StarCraft 2 is a game of incomplete information. The last line is why this game is so difficult to get started. Persevere, and eventually win rates will be about 50%. Alright, that concludes chapters 2 and 3 of Sun Tzu and the Art of StarCraft 2. Thanks for watching and have a good one.